want us all to get in on it, as we always do. So near great schools for 500K. So this is from AJ, and AJ says, we are looking to live near highly rated schools in Oahu for our daughter's education. Is it still possible to find single family fee simple homes around 500K? Also, will there possibly be any that can become available in the foreseeable future, or are those a thing of the past? So we have two topics over here, Scott. One topic is, can we find a single family home practically anywhere on Oahu for 500K? And, can we get one that's near highly rated schools? The school system in Hawaii is a little bit of a different beast. It's a statewide school system. It's not like most of the mainland where schools are district based, where your district determines the kind of school you have. Here, all the schools are of the same. They're part of the Department of Education, which is a statewide thing. So there's not that much variance in schools, but that's my 2 cents. Scott, how do you answer AJ here, who wants a home for 500K near a good school system on Oahu?
Well, the good school system portion, you have public and private. The private schools are significantly highly rated here, and most of them are in the urban core of Honolulu, meaning kind of the Manoa area, so Punahou, Iolani, Mid-Pac. Some of those schools, Maryknoll, they're all kind of in the same area in Honolulu. Now, if you want a $500,000 home in the urban core, that's probably not going to exist. $700,000 is about the minimum you want to get into, and anything below that is going to have significant quirks or major work. $700,000 and up starts to get you into something that you could probably live in and work on. Otherwise, now you're getting out. Public schools, you can do not 500,000. We're 600 and up now for the major portions of Oahu. It's not until you get to the leeward coast or even pockets of that windward coast, which the school systems are going to be not as good at that point, that you can get around 500,000 for a single family home.
So really, the rule of thumb is, if you want to have a safe margin, you really want to be thinking about 700,000 for a single family home. That's one thing. School systems is a whole other issue. If the private school is an option, you're going to take that private school option. Private schools, however, you're looking at 20 grand per child per year, which is a whole other animal. And public schools, you need to do your research, because those will based on the area. All right, Heidi, what's if we were to kind of say, what would you say if someone says, look, can I get into a single family home for 500,000 near a good school district in Maui? How would you respond to that?
I think you could find a condo for that. For a single family home, the budget's going to need to be a bit higher. You will be looking up and starting in the 700-800 range for a single family home. For a condo, you can find a 2-bedroom condo. There's some as low as the mid 300s. So you could find a condo, probably not a single family home for that budget.
What's the school system? I'm sorry, Heidi. What's the school system like? Let's say you said 800,000. So we say, okay, 800,000 for a single family home in Maui. What are the school systems like on Maui? Private schools, public schools? What's that? What does that look like?
Well, there's both private and public schools. Private schools, as you mentioned, it's going to be a significant cost for admission. The 2 main private schools are Seabury, which is upcountry, and then Maui Prep, which is in West Maui. And then there's some good charter schools as well. So you definitely have some different options. When I'm working with buyers who have kids and the school is an important thing, usually that's the whole beginning of the real estate discussion, just kind of finding out and going. Often I'll have people go and interview at the different schools and check out the different schools before we even start looking at a property, because I know it is really important to live close to school, especially if you're going to be going back and forth all the time. So it's a great starting point for your real estate search.
Excellent, thanks, Dylan. What's sort of like the floor that you would give for finding a single family home, and how does that compare and contrast to the school choices that are available on the Big Island?
Pretty similar to Scott and Heidi in terms of if you want a highly rated school. And the reality is that the better the schools are, usually the price points around those schools are higher, and it's a function of the population that lives around there and the parents and the demographics. So most of the time, the higher the price points, the better the schools are near them. Even though our property taxes don't pay for the schools, it's just more a function of the community and the type of people that live in those areas. Like the highest, the best public school on the Kona side is in Holualoa, which is you're probably not going to get into anything under 800,000 in that area.
Okay, so I'm hearing you kind of say throw out the 800,000 number too for a single family home if you want to be near a good area or environment that has access to a good school system. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can always do condos, but condos are significantly smaller square footage, and you're still looking at 400,000 for a decent condo in those areas.
So really, to answer AJ's fundamental question, AJ, I have to tell you, it seems to me like 500K homes are a thing of the past. I don't. Does anybody raise your hands if anyone sees 500K homes coming back anytime in the foreseeable future? Yeah, not going to happen. So
we got plenty of 500K homes, but
there you go.
but they're out in the country, and your schools are not going to be one. The schools are going to be further away because distance wise, the homes are more rural. But a lot of times those schools are the ones that have more challenges.
So thank you, Dylan, for pointing that out. I'm sure we can find some homes on all the islands for 500K, but they're not going to fit the other criteria that you're looking for. And real quick, Jim's